This is my Spidey sense that I made with Arduino, and this is the more practical version of fully functioning assistive hat made for the visually impaired, or at least my first prototype. Check it out. Alright, let's begin. I've listed all of the materials down below in the description for your convenience. The very first thing I'm going to do is sketch out the design. I drew out where all the electronics would sit, along with the aesthetics of the hat. I drew the hat from multiple perspectives to avoid any sort of confusion. I also had to decide between two very good names, and I ended up deciding that this is probably for the better. So with the design and name down, it was time to begin coding. We want to set up the pin numbers, turn off the LEDs, and make sure the distance sensor and buzzer aren't going haywire. In the setup, I also coded for the ultrasonic sensor wires. Then of course I had to add the distance equation, and I also had to make sure my conditional statements were working just fine in the loop code. For my if-then statements, I used 0 to 30 or 30 to 100. Moving on from the coding, it was time to work on the wiring. I made sure to grab my HC-SR004 ultrasonic sensor and my Arduino Uno R3. Now I do end up using the buzzer but not the LEDs, and this is because they never ended up working, whether it was a wiring or a coding issue, I don't know. I also tried swapping them out, but to no avail. However, I'm probably gonna add some text-to-speech to this, so stay tuned for that. With the wiring, coding, and LEDs out the way, it was time to work on the visual radar code.
It's 45 minutes long.
Which required Python, and I do not know anything about Python, so I actually ended up watching about 10 tutorials at 2x speed, and let me tell you, it was the worst. I didn't understand a single line of code or what these people were even doing. It felt like a whole new language, and technically it was, but after 10 tutorials and a little self-confidence,
I think I can do that.
I did it. I couldn't be more proud of myself. It was the coolest thing I've ever coded, heck, even built. I was so excited to test it out. But in order to test it out, I had to add the aesthetic components onto the hat first. And that began with covering up these ugly seams from an older design I had on the hat. I used the cap of a Mod Podge can to cover up the circle on the front side of the hat, better known as the brim of the hat. After cutting it out of cardboard, I decided it would be nice to add a version 1 logo on top of the white circle. I did this using some craft foam, a pencil, and of course my scissors. Don't forget to cut out your white craft foam as well, and here's how it ended up looking. And with the version 1 symbol done, I was finally ready to cover up the rest of the hat. I am also very sorry for the glare, it actually came from my broken light. But I am going to use some black craft foam to cover up these ugly giant spots on the hat. I'll be honest, this step takes a lot of trial and error, but once you get one side, you can easily copy and paste it to the other. Here's how it looked when it was all done. I also just preferred to add this one little strip of black craft foam, it's completely optional. My next great idea to renovate the aesthetics of the helmet was to use a stencil to make these beautiful letters. However, it didn't even end up working out, even after I tried freehanding it, so I just opted to make some Arial-shaped letters, you know, some normal font-shaped letters. And because I was going with the acronym AST, I made that onto my hat. Next up, the arm brace. I made a quick paper template by folding the paper on my arm and just transfer that onto some cardboard. I also made sure to measure where I wanted to make the incisions on the cardboard to make the folding as easy as possible. I added some Velcro circles and made these reinforcement pieces so the foam doesn't fall out. It should end up looking like this, and here's the point of view from the arm brace. Then I took it outside to the garage to do some quick spray painting. I just painted it black. Then I tried to figure out where I was going to place my Arduino and breadboard onto the hat, but then this happened. Dude, this is like the worst thing that could have happened. My number 9 pin, I don't know if you can see, I've got something stuck in there. Do you guys see that? There's something in there. Wanna know what it is? It's this. This end broke off inside there. And so I was left with no other option but to replace the wire and change the entire code. It was alright though because it was a minuscule change. Finally, I was able to place the sensor, breadboard, and Arduino in their proper places. And here I just made that small code change because of the broken wire. But the issues kept piling up and my sensor started beeping for no reason. I realized it was actually sensing the top of the hat, so I fixed it. But still, it was beeping and I didn't really understand what was happening until I realized there was duct tape on my sensor. It wasn't a difficult fix though, I just removed the tape off the sensor and finally, it was time to test it out. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching, and before you go, I have some really important notes to share with you. The first thing is that if you want the schematics or the code, please comment down below. Secondly, please subscribe because I really put a lot of time and effort into these videos. And thirdly, if you have any video ideas whatsoever, superhero related or not, please comment them down below. I'm eager to try. And like always, have a good day, and MBG out.